Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. Alright, so we've all heard about this new Model Y with 270 miles of range, which I'm referring to as the medium range Model Y, due to there already being a standard range. But now we're hearing rumours that there's a new variant that Tesla have sent an application to the EPA for. Okay, one way or another, I think we can use our common sense here. This is beyond coincidence that Tesla file for two new EPA ranges at the same time as a new factory is just about to open. It seems obvious that these two new model variants from Tesla will be from this new factory. I mean, how big a coincidence do you need? We have Texas producing cars with 4680 batteries. I've been making videos last year wondering how Tesla will bring these new batteries into the product mix. It sounded like people were ordering the typical long-range Model Y, but then being issued chassis numbers relating to Austin. This led us to assume that the 4680 would be treated like a 2170 with no differentiation. I felt this was remiss on Tesla's behalf. How could they not separate the coveted 4680 batteries from the 2170 version? I was not happy if this was going to be the products. But yeah, it's obvious now that these are the Texas 4680 version coming out from the EPA tests. That's right, we potentially have two new versions of the Model Y about to be released. Now, I did like my theory of selling more vehicles with smaller batteries and less range compared to a higher profit margin long-range vehicle. This progresses the mission the fastest, subject to enough microchips, which may or may not be as much an issue as we're being led on, but should still only be temporary and likely a lot of pressure relieved about the time these production lines are ramped up. Now, if the mission is to really get out as many Model Ys as possible, then we might see the second model as a rear-wheel drive Model Y, again with similar range. It would make it that much more affordable. It would be strange if they made another long range, as the Fremont 2170 range is likely enough. It would therefore take a lot of extra batteries to beat that range, and thus sacrificing further opportunity costs of making more lower range Model Ys. Therefore, I think we can rule out a longer range Model Y. We have a long range Model Y. I don't think we need two. The other option might be a new performance version, which would be what I would want most as a consumer. A lighter weight, stronger built, higher powered performance Model Y. That would be cool. And then they'd wind down the Model Y performance at Fremont perhaps. But no, I think this might possibly be a 4680 rear-wheel drive medium range Model Y. I think this will be a very popular car. The price point could be very affordable for a large number of people. Yes, all-wheel drive is great, but for most people in most places, then rear-wheel drive is just fine just about all the time. But if you can save a further $5,000 for just a two-wheel drive drivetrain, then I'm sure that would open up a massive market. I'm going to do some financials on these new Texas models and see what kind of profits we might expect to see. From there, we should be able to gather the price points that we might expect to see them. But surely a rear-wheel drive Model Y should be under $50,000, perhaps $45,000. When there's a vehicle that in most people's minds is an expensive luxury car, and suddenly there's a new version of it available for under $50,000, then it will have a very high perceived value. Some of you now may be working in your head that if you trade in your car and don't have to pay for gas anymore, you can actually afford the payments for a Model Y. You can finally get a Model Y. Also, bear in mind the price may start off a little higher, possibly due to some supply chain issues and all other associated insanity in the world right now. The price will also be higher due to supply and demand, and supply will be lower whilst Tesla are ramping. But eventually, when it goes close to full capacity, not that that's a word Tesla would ever use, then the prices might drop to meet demand. In fact, of course the prices will drop. I don't know, within time, perhaps we could see the $40,000 Model Y. Bear in mind, the real money is in the future upselling of these vehicles. Now, look at this factory. Texas has a footprint of 0.41 kilometers squared, compared to Model Y Shanghai at 0.13 kilometers squared. That is 3.2 times the footprint. We recently ran some analysis on Giga Berlin. We discovered if we compare Berlin relatively to what we've seen Shanghai Model Y capable of, then we could perhaps see 1.5 million vehicles a year come out of Berlin. Now, what could Texas' capacity be? If we think Berlin is 1.5 million and Texas has twice the footprint, then could Texas produce twice as many cars? No. Everything is much bigger in Texas. Texas has 3 floors. Now, granted, the 4680 factory is a part of the Texas factory, but we've still got to be talking about 5 times the volume for Texas over Berlin. The capacity of Texas could easily be 5 million a year. Okay, I'm not even sure about 5 million Model Ys a year, and that is likely for solely North America. Are there 5 million Americans a year who want to buy a new Model Y Tesla? Well, if they want an electric car, then there isn't really any other choice. Oh, but what about Ford or the Chinese? Well, if Tesla are making 5 million EVs a year in the US that soon, then they have likely 95% market supply of EVs in the US. And I didn't even include Fremont. If consumers are going to be scrambling to buy an EV, possibly because gas prices have gone insane, or even if they've returned to normal, who'd want to risk that again? Even after the oil crisis was over in the 70s, years after, there were still very long waiting lists for Hondas. People had felt the pinch once and weren't going to risk that again. So even when this war is over, and I hope it's soon, and oil prices return to more reasonable levels, then it doesn't mean it won't happen again. This was a big wake-up call. People will make sacrifices. They will spend $40,000 on an electric vehicle if they have to not risk having to lose their job because they can't afford to get to work if gas prices go crazy again. Okay, a lot of people may not be able to afford an electric car in the conventional way we think of affording things, but this could become an essential item to life. You just need to work around ways of affording it. Of course, the car does come with certain cost savings too. A $35,000 to $40,000 Tesla, when you break down the economics, it's a lot more affordable than anyone realizes. $35,000 though? Yeah, well, you see, I think 5 million Model Ys a year may still be on the high side, but what if the factory shared the Model 3 lines too? Tesla put up a webpage about their factories, and the Texas factory said that they would be producing Model 3 as well as Model Y, but that was quickly removed. Yes, I think there will be a Model 3 line there too. I think it will be the same battery pack as the medium-range Model Y, likely giving the Model 3 above 300 miles of range. I think this will be the biggest selling Model 3 as well, and this is what will be produced at Texas. If that's the case, there will only need to be one battery pack for both cars, just two vehicles made, the medium-range Model 3 and medium-range Model Y, both at the sweet spots for demand and margin. Perhaps it will end up being about 2.5 million units for each line, and maybe there'll be a rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive version of both. In fact, there is a possibility that this second EPA vehicle might even be the Model 3. Excuse me, Tesla economist, I think you're mistaken here. Back to the competition. There are all these Chinese EVs that will flow into America. At least that seems to be the narrative in the Tesla community. And it's pretty well backed up with evidence, because one time in the 70s, all these Japanese cars entered the US, except there is no way the Chinese are going to come close to undercutting Tesla on their prices. The Chinese can't even make their own cars in China at these prices. Imagine, after no tax credits, shipping to the US, import tariffs, and setting up logistics. This is not a thing, and that would be if China were capable of making enough EVs in the first place, which they have yet to show any evidence of, or at least ones that are safe enough to be legally deemed drivable in the US. I can't see the Chinese in any big numbers in the US, especially not as early as we're suggesting here. Tesla will just dominate too fast. I've been saying this for some time. I can't wait to see the specs of these 4680 batteries and what is going to be coming out of Texas. Tesla can't make these cars without us eventually finding out. It's all starting to unfold. The numbers will not lie. We'll be able to work out just how big Tesla is going to be and an idea of how soon they'll achieve it. We're hoping for about a 250 gigawatt hour run rate for these 4680 batteries on that Texas site. At least that tends to be the thoughts within the community. Now, that would be enough batteries to reach this number of cars produced. It all aligns. And again, just look at the size of the Texas building compared to the others, as if that didn't already tell you enough. Literally, how big a clue do you need? I don't think any of this factory is suitable for the Cybertruck either. I think it's all for the 3 and Y. I think the Cybertruck may end up having its own fab built, and if you want to know when the Cybertruck might be in production, then probably something like 12 to 16 months after they break ground on the next Texas fab. But yeah, we have the Cybertruck one day too, and I think this might also sell in the millions too. Obviously, there is so much up in the air at the moment of where the world is about to end up. I think the simplest question to ask yourself here is, do you think the world is still going to turn to electric transport? If so, then Tesla looks to benefit potentially more than any other company in history. Making more affordable models with smaller batteries will be the best thing Tesla can do to accelerate this mission. It's time Tesla offered a more affordable model, and the economies of scale from Texas should demonstrate just that. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.